Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. I'm gonna call my show a Peter Like Show for the moment because this could be the big one. I could be hitting a jackpot. Now, to understand why, we got to go back a few months. 2 months ago, my grandmother passed away. She was 91 years old. And I went to her funeral in Taiwan. And sometimes we all grieve in weird ways, right? And I decided to ask my grandmother, I told her when she makes it to the other side, to talk to Mary Curry to see if Mary Curry could set me up on a blind date with one of her great-great-granddaughters. And turns out my grandmother and Mary Curry coexisted here on Earth for a few months, and so I thought the two could resonate together. My dad was so upset at that joke, though, because his mother had just passed away, and they were very close. And also, I was telling him this joke in front of other people at the funeral home where there were other families who were grieving, and my dad explained that some of these people who had lost family members, not all of them were elderly like my grandmother. Some were very young, and it was not appropriate to be joking about that stuff. And he was very upset at the remark. He said save the stories for later. Let's have the funeral. And when I made it up to my grandmother's casket, I gave my grandmother a rock to give to Mary Curry. Those who know a little bit of chemistry background will understand why. But for her to give to Mary Curry so that she could continue to work on her research. And so I'll get back to the rock in a moment because it comes up again in this story. And then my grandmother was cremated and presumably gave the rock to Mary Curry. And then I got a lot of good luck in my dating life here in the back in Taiwan as well as here in the United States. My last couple of days in Taiwan, for some bizarre reason, I decided to reopen my online dating profile, which I had not touched in a long time. In fact, I believe the last time I touched it, Trump was president, and now Trump was president-elect, and I'm touching it again. And before I knew it, I was eating sushi with a girl in Taiwan, and on the way back to my hotel, she had to get off at an earlier train stop than me, and when she got off the train, I watched her walk off of the train. It was like part of my heart just disappeared into the crowd. It really did feel like that. And I'm still talking to her, and it's kind of interesting. I've been involved in multiple long-distance relationships. They usually don't last very long, or they get very, they kind of just fade out, right? And the way I like to view it, and I've always viewed it this way when it happens, is that it kind of feels like a space mission. You got a rover that's on another planet, and you never know when that rover is going to die, right? When it's going to stop communicating back home. And every time it communicates back home something, it's like a blessing. Every time NASA gets a message back from Mars, from Jupiter, from the moon, it's a blessing, right? You can never be guaranteed any of those messages, right? It kind of feels like that, right? And you don't want to mess the mission up, right? And all right. So that was that. And then I came back home to the United States, and I had several more close friends of mine set me up on other blind dates, right? I was just the reason I joked about my grandmother was that I was just having such a good running streak of my friends back home in the United States setting me up on blind dates that I thought I could do it with grandmother as well, and it turned out very well. Last week, I was at the student union when I met a distant cousin of Pierre Curry, right? He's French. Unfortunately, the student that I met, she works as an administrator for the student union and is taking classes, and schedules got a little bit tricky. I don't think she was trying to avoid me, though, because she texted me her intentions when she wasn't able to come and all that, and we continued to talk about other stuff. But obviously, it's tricky when you have different lives like that. And then finally, I hit the jackpot today. I had gone to a new meetup group, and there was a distant cousin of Mary Curry. Now, she's not the girl that I'm hoping to date. It turns out after talking to her a little bit about my recent luck with grandmother setting me up on dates and all that in relationships. She's also Polish, and she likes Mary Curry. But I quickly discovered that she has similar sexuality to Mary Curry during the second half of her life, and/or her reincarnated of soul here on Earth today, right? So not exactly the right material. But after we had talked a little bit, she wants me to meet her sister, and uh, she knows about Mary Curry, but she didn't know a little detail. I'll get to it in a second. After we had discussed a little bit, I said, Valentine's Day is coming up, and I offered her a reward if she could get us together before Valentine's Day. I'm going to make her a large coin with the bust of Mary Curry, and I told her that it would be made out of a material that can now be used to make Mary Curry's famous invention. And she's like, "Isn't that going to be really rare?" And I said, "Yeah, it's almost as rare as gold, believe it or not." And I left it at that without telling her about the metal, without telling her about the process of making Mary Curry's invention, and just to leave the suspense open so that she'll be interested. Unfortunately, I then went online to try to custom order the mold to make that coin. I have a dealer that I work with. He made several molds for me to pour stuff. And unfortunately, he couldn't do a bust of Mary Curry. And now I'm panicking because I've offered rewards for people who set me up on blind dates. And I always make sure to give the reward just at the beginning. If it's a group date, to give it at the beginning of the date, because I need that good luck. And I would hate to tell her that I don't have the coin ready yet. And it just brings bad karma, because I've always given it during the date itself, and I hate to see what happens if I don't. And now I'm panicking, so I'll find the right mold. Worst case, I could just give her one of those commemorative coins with Mary Curry. It won't be the right metal, though, and it won't be rare, right? So that's kind of a bummer. It is worth more now, but in the future, we won't know about that, right? Alright, so continue to pray for me by liking this video. I hit the jackpot. This is the Peter Like Show! Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show! Bum 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 bum.